This is the MacTalk with David podcast. Hello everybody and welcome to the MacTalk with David podcast. The podcast focused around everything from our favorite computer company in the world, Apple Incorporated. This is episode 2, Leopard Delay. We did it! Episode 2 of MacTalk with David is officially here. I know, it's such a milestone, isn't it? Anyway, guys, I would like to welcome you to the official second episode of MacTalk with David. I am David, obviously. Either that or I'm being sabotaged, just like that Get a Mac ad. But instead of rambling for 5 minutes, let's just jump right into today's topic, and that is Leopard Delay. I know, very, very sad for all those fellow Mac users out there like myself. So for those who have been hiding under those rocks on Windows Hill for the past week or so, Apple has announced that they are officially delaying Mac OS X Leopard, which is their next major OS upgrade to Tiger, which is technically called 10.5, but its codename is Leopard. Apparently, this is what Apple's saying. Apple's saying that they are delaying Leopard because iPhone development isn't going as smoothly as they were hoping. And to make this June release for the iPhone, on time, apparently Apple is pulling software developers from the Mac OS X team and putting them on the iPhone team temporarily for a couple months or so, because iPhone uses a stripped version of Mac OS X, so I guess development for both are very similar. So, to the rest of us Mac users not purchasing the iPhone, this is kind of unfair, but then again, the iPhone is a big deal and Apple really needs to get this out by June. And if they don't, then that means their competitors can catch up and release iPhone clones and steal some of Apple's money away, so that obviously wouldn't be very good for them from a business standpoint of view. Now, whether or not Apple is telling the truth about this iPhone development cycle not going as smoothly as they predicted, no one really knows except Steve Jobs himself, I guess. I'm not one to call Apple a liar, but a couple weeks back, there were rumors about Leopard being delayed, and Apple said themselves, or some kind of representative for Apple said that Leopard was on track and do not believe the rumors. And then a week later, what do you know, Apple delays Leopard, unfortunately. And now it appears iPhone is even having issues with its software and battery life. So, I don't know. Apple definitely has a lot of work to do, and I know they're working around the clock right now. So, obviously, kudos to them for working so hard for their customers. So, they have a lot of work coming up, and they have to do all this by June for the iPhone, and Leopard by October. So, good luck to them. So, continuing our discussion on Leopard, I have an audio question sent via email by Dan of Massachusetts, and his question is as follows.
Oh, hey David, this is Dan from Massachusetts. I just wanted to know, is Leopard that big of a step up from Tiger? Because I don't know if I want to buy it, because I've been saving up for something big, like I have $200, and I just want to know, is that worth it? Thanks.
Thank you for the question, Dan. In my opinion, Leopard does seem to be worth the upgrade price, which is $129 retail. I'm guessing it's going to be that much since Panther and Tiger sold for that much, I believe. So I don't see why Apple would change it. But yes, I definitely think Leopard will be worth the upgrade price for one feature alone. Not to say it doesn't have other good features, but one feature alone impresses me along with many other Mac users, and that is Time Machine. For those of you who do not know, Time Machine is probably the most impressive feature of Leopard, which automatically backs up your data in real time. So that way, if you accidentally delete a file in the future, you could literally go back in time on your desktop, drag that file to modern times, and you've practically, saved that file. So how many times have you accidentally gotten rid of like an important spreadsheet for work, or you accidentally got rid of a nice photo album from like last summer or something? So if this happens, Apple has your back, and you could go back in time, drag these files to modern day, and I think that is a very cool feature, and very life-saving. Of course, there are other features in Leopard, like Spaces, which allows you to have up to 4 workspaces. This is great for like photo editing in one workspace, then you can use another workspace for video editing, the third workspace for like music production, and maybe your fourth workspace for like web browsing and finding your resources online. I don't know how many average users would use this, but I know I would use it because my desktop gets pretty cluttered sometimes because sometimes I have iMovie open, Final Cut Express open, and Photoshop, along with iChat and Safari, and my mail application, and I could definitely use these workspaces. So it definitely allows for better productivity, and I think it's definitely a feature worth checking out. And then there's the brand new iChat, which you can actually put backgrounds behind you while video chatting and while rendering fun photo effects in real time. Think of it like Photo Booth, but for video conferencing. So it may sound gimmicky, but it's fun, and iChat does have a new interface, and there are other features like you can even watch somebody else's desktop. Like say I connected to my friend's desktop, I could show them how to do stuff in Photoshop through iChat. So it's kind of like remote desktop, but in iChat, and it's very simple and convenient. And that's another feature that's maybe often overlooked and should be looked into more often. So I think that's definitely very cool too. I could literally go on and on about why I think Leopard is worth it, Dan. But for you and the rest of my listeners, please go to apple.com/macOS10/Leopard. There you will find an official sneak preview by Apple themselves. Basically, it's a quick overview of the new features in Leopard. Apple provides free QuickTime virtual tour movies of these features and plenty of information to read about them. But don't forget, I don't know if you know this, but I'm sure my fellow Mac users do. Last year, I think it was at WWDC 06, Steve Jobs himself said there are top secret features that they are not revealing to the public because they don't want Microsoft to copy them again because, Vista practically is Mac OS 10, but let's not get into that. So, we don't know what these secret features are. I think one of them is a new Finder interface because the Finder is outdated, at least when compared to Windows Explorer, as far as features go. And that's also another rumor that's maybe one of the reasons why Leopard was delayed, because these top secret features weren't just, they just weren't ready yet. Nobody knows for sure except for Apple. Apple's very secretive, so I guess we'll find out in WWDC 07, which is in June. And if we don't find out then, we'll find out sometime throughout the summer. So I guess we just got to be patient. Okay, so it looks like we're already up to 8 minutes, and I don't want to make this too long, so I'm going to wrap it up here. I would like to thank you again, Dan, from Massachusetts, for submitting your question via email in the form of an audio file. I really like audio files, guys, so please send in those questions. And I would also like to make a shout out to Aaron Pike from the UK. He also sent in an audio question regarding Leopard. I'm sorry I didn't play it, Aaron. I just didn't have time this episode, but for those of you wondering, his question also had to do with Leopard, when it's coming out, and what features it has. So they were both very similar questions. So I'm going to wrap up my episode here. I would like to thank you for listening to Mac Talk with David. Please send in those questions, mactalkwithdavid@gmail.com. Text messages are fine, but I really prefer audio questions because, in my opinion, they really make the show more interesting and more lively. And that's a good thing, obviously. So send in those questions, please. For the last time, my email is mactalkwithdavid@gmail.com. I would like to thank you for listening to Mac Talk with David again, and I look forward to providing content for you in the third episode. Thanks.